Manuel Jim Rivera, nicknamed Jungle Jim, was one of the handful of major league players who began their careers in prison. Rivera had a rough upbringing, spending most of his childhood in an orphanage. While serving in the U.S. Army Air Corps in 1944, Jim Rivera was charged by the Army with assaulting and attempting to rape the daughter of an officer. He was court-martialed and sentenced to life in prison. While playing on the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary baseball team, word of his baseball talent got around to the owner of minor league team, the Atlanta Crackers. The team owner worked to secure a parole for Rivera after he had served just 5 years of that life sentence. In 1951, he'd be traded by the White Sox to the St. Louis Browns, where he would make his major league debut. But civic and religious groups in St. Louis objected and began a campaign to push the Browns to cut Rivera and to try to get MLB to ban him from the game. He played 97 games there before being dealt back to the White Sox. In response to the controversy in St. Louis, Commissioner Ford Frick said that, quote, "Since Rivera came into baseball, his conduct has been beyond question. If in the future he shows that he has not profited by his experience, this office will take action." Well, on the final day of the 1952 season, Rivera was once again arrested, once again for rape. Rivera contended it was a consensual encounter, and after he passed a lie detector test, everybody was just like, okay, cool, let's just forget all about it. And Rivera was able to enjoy a 10-year career as a solid outfielder and fan favorite for the Go-Go White Sox of the 1950s. But then there's this disturbing document I came across while researching this segment that adds some even darker shades to an already murky picture. I found this on the Digital Commons at Lindenwood University website, and it came from the archives of the Sporting News from 1952. It appears to be a bit of correspondence. From or to whom, it doesn't say. But since it's described as an investigation report on Manuel Jim Rivera regarding rape charges and whether he should be allowed to continue playing professional baseball, it feels like it could be coming from the commissioner's office. What's disturbing about this is not just the seemingly casual brushing off of serious allegations by the doctors brought on to examine Rivera, but also the revelation that there appears to be a third allegation of sexual misconduct, this time possibly with a minor. This third incident is not mentioned anywhere else online as far as I can tell. I didn't see it on Wikipedia or on the Society for American Baseball Research website, or in all but one of the news articles I found on Rivera. The one mention of it does come from the Sporting News in the October 8th, 1952 edition. In talking about the 1952 rape allegations, it briefly mentions that after Rivera's release from prison, during the initial 90-day probation period with the Atlanta Crackers, he was, quote, linked with an incident involving violation of the moral code, but it was never substantiated. And what does that mean, moral code? Well, from this correspondence, we can make some guesses. It says that one of the elements of the investigation was a, quote, further interrogation of the father of the lad who was involved in the incident at Atlanta. Then it contains a quote from Dr. Frank F. Tallman, the Commissioner of Mental Health of the state of California, who says, quote, "It is my considered professional opinion that this one episode came as a result of a great deal of stress, combined with an immature feeling that he was doing very well and could therefore do as he pleased." Okay. The fact that his rebellion took the form of sexual advance to the boy, I attribute to his repressions during his life in the orphanage and in prison. I mean, there's a whole lot of context missing here, but it does sound like they're talking about him engaging in sexual misconduct with a minor, and they sure seem eager to sweep this under the rug, promising young man style. Tallman goes on, saying, "In other words, his growing conviction that he was going to have a chance to be a great ball player uncorked the bottle of past repressions too suddenly, and the explosion was one of immaturity." Keep in mind, Rivera would have been 27 or 28 at the time of this alleged incident. In conclusion, I think we can safely say that Rivera's maturity is now such that this type of behavior is a thing of the past. And as I said before, I would see no contraindication for his continuing professional baseball in any capacity that his ability merits. And his analysis concludes with this confusing section. At first, I assumed they were referring to the lad or boy involved in the sexual advance by Rivera, but after reading this several times, it appears to be referring here to Rivera as a boy, a 30-year-old boy. I should like to point out, too, that the boy, having been fatherless for so long, tends to look up for guidance and affection from older people, and if the coach of any group that he joins takes a more or less fatherly interest in him, the accuracy of my prognostication will be doubly ensured. So I did also find reference to this incident in this transcript of a radio address by a St. Louis reverend protesting Rivera's time with the Browns. This section is interesting as it has a redacted line. Recently I had dinner with a minister from Atlanta where Rivera once played, and he advised me that his conduct, and here's where it's redacted, but if you look closely, it sure does look like it says, against youngsters here. Hearsay, obviously, so I don't know, but it does make you wonder if the MLB commissioner engaged in a cover-up of this player's behavior. Oh, and also, Rivera was once again arrested in 1982 for molesting a 14-year-old girl, and once again, charges were dropped after Rivera took a lie detector test. Rivera lived a long life, passing away at 96 years old in 2017. So what do you make of this? Was he, as this Indiana obituary reads, a man with a heart of gold who was just consistently wrongfully accused of sexual assault? Or was he a deviant sexual criminal unleashed and enabled by Major League Baseball?